But let's focus on some controversial MMOs ever made here. And if he doesn't say this is Star Citizen, I will be fucking shocked.
A MMO controversial. Over the years, there's been many questionable games with dubious practices.
Yes.
Some are seen as outright
Everything on Kickstarter is a scam. Don't go anywhere near it.
scams, whilst others are predatory loot box messes.
Yes.
I'm somewhat of a loot box expert myself. But imagine a title which not only promises to be fun, but one where you can actually earn real life money by just playing their game. In today's video, I want to explore one of the longest running.
He's talking about crypto. He's going to talk about crypto. I've been down this road. Quite literally, this is part of my job. Where for a while I was going to actually open up a channel called Blockchain Gaming Investigations, where I was going through and playing video games made by crypto devs, and I was trying to remain positive in those videos, but it was draining my soul so goddamn bad. It was so bad. Every single video game I've seen in the crypto space has been dog shit, and I know he's about to talk about it.
And questionable MMOs ever created. Dating back to original WoW times, this MMO is still alive and kicking, and most importantly, making a fat stack of cash at the same time.
No fucking way. Oh my god. Entropia. Oh Jesus. Oh my god, how is that still alive? That was around before blockchain. That was around before all the crypto trash. Holy shit.
So what is this mystery game, you ask? I am, of course, talking about the ever so notorious Entropia Universe. So if you enjoy questionable MMOs that you've never heard of before, then maybe you'll also enjoy my questionable and unheard of YouTube channel, where I go out my way to play dead and unpopular titles, which I then do video essays for, which nobody...
He actually does a very, very good job as a VTuber. I still think that if he really wants to hit that 100k sub mark, he needs to get some big, gigantic tits on this dog, but, you know, to each their own.
Watches. Like and subscribe. But what makes a 20-year-old MMO controversial, you might be wondering? On paper, it's a free-to-play sandbox MMO RPG based in space with a player-driven economy. And did I mention...
This game is dog shit, by the way.
That's a real cash economy. And the way they do this is that everything in-game has a monetary value.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
My mom gave me that.
The in-game currency is referred to as PED or PED, which can be exchanged for US dollars at a currency
Pedophiles with erectile dysfunction. That's why they're playing this game.
conversion of 10 to 1.
I mean, why did you think the camera cut off here?
And as you can imagine, if you can take money out the game, you sure as hell can put it back in.
Oh yeah, you can.
And therefore I give you the ultimate pay-to-win title. But wait, there's more. Because everything does have a monetary value, it does mean that rare drops almost become a jackpot win.
Yes. If I remember correctly, there have been people in Entropia who've sold certain things in the game and been able to buy a house with the amount of money that they got.
Very emotional.
So if a boss drops rare loot, it could be worth a couple of $100s. But at the same time, in order to kill the boss, you may need some expensive gear to do so. And this is what makes it so controversial, because players have been known to drop thousands of dollars to gear themselves up, just so they can go and chase these big jackpot wins. Which, from a lot of people's perspective...
Look how dog shit this game looks. And all they needed to emotionally manipulate people into playing this was the idea, the concept, that they have the opportunity to take money out of the game. Now, realistically, in a game like Entropia, the people who are extracting money from the game are the whales at the very top, who are like 0.001% of the player population. And every single other person is putting money into the game and making this financial pyramid bigger for the people at the top to extract out of. It's genius.
is seen as a form of gambling. But what does MindArk, the developers behind this title, think of those claims?
That you then saying that there is a gambling element in Entropia?
No.
Yes.
No, what we have done, we have followed all of the rules and regulations to show, which we have done, that
If anyone has to speak like this, we have followed the rules and regulations to show. Instead of just saying, it's not a gambling game, that's bullshit, here, let me prove it to you. Someone who does this, who speaks in this lawyer speak kind of way, is immediately a lying sack of shit that you shouldn't believe. When people speak like this, you know that they're full of shit.
it is a skill-based game.
And that right there was the ex-CEO of MindArk, David Simmons, who quit last year. So is Entropia Universe...
So he got out. He got out. He made his money. He got his golden yacht. He's off to Epstein Island 2.0. He's made all his goddamn money. He's right the fuck out of there.
just a online casino using a MMO as a front? Or is there potentially a underrated MMO here waiting for people to pick it up and play? Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Wish me luck.
Oh no. Okay, so if I remember properly, I might be confusing this with another one of these games where you play this game and when you start off, you can play it for free, but the only thing you can do is farm shit. I think that's Entropia, but I might be confusing Entropia with another one of these games. Right? I think it's, you start off, if you've paid no money, the only thing you can do is farm shit. Literal shit in the game. You farm it for some resource that you can then sell to get better gear and so on and so forth. I actually wish someone like Swole Benji had the money to play a game like this and just fuck up the entire economy of this game. Because I would bet money he could do this. I would bet, if I was some oil sheik or some shit and I had millions of dollars, I would solidly give Benji $500,000 just to fuck this whole game up. And I know he could do it. I know he could do it. God, I would do that in a heartbeat if I had money.
So where might one go to download Entropia Universe, you might be wondering? Well, where else
Steam.
other than the dark web? A joke, you just go to their website. Entropia Universe uses a standalone launcher, which of course means we can't check to see how popular it is on the Steam charts.
Genius, isn't that? You keep it off with Steam, you make sure it's got a private launcher, that way no one knows, there's no forum, or if there's a forum it's unofficial, or something that they can make sure that they can flood with bots, so you never see a bad opinion about this fucking game.
I know, I'm very upset by this. I did ask their AI chatbot how many people play Entropia Universe.
I'm sorry, I don't have that information. Is there anything else you'd like to know about Entropia?
They've integrated, oh my god. I saw the cryptocurrency tag there underneath, and now they've got an AI chatbot, and they tried to make it a hot woman, right? Oh my god, these, fuck me. Oh, this is like when you think Uber slop gets bad. And then this is like when you look under a carpet in your house that hasn't been lifted for 15 years. And there's just like 3 different species of cockroach all just fucking looking at you like, yo, dude, turn off the lights. This is what you're looking at. Oh my god. This is so skeevy. I'm not even mad, I'm just impressed.
Be a universe?
But the results were inconclusive. MMO stats did have it down as about 800 players a day, with a grand total of 100,000 players.
This ancient ass game is almost in the same position as a game that only launched a few years ago. Oh my god. Their player base is near the fucking equivalent of the US player base in the East. US West doesn't give a fuck. So think about it this way. Out of all these servers, right? New World only has 2 servers that are larger than the average player base of this game. God damn.
Which I do feel is pretty reasonable. I mean, how else are they going to make all that profit? Once the installer had finished, I had to go away and create an account, and once I'd done that, I was able to log into the game and finally create my character. I have to say, I was actually pleasantly surprised as to how detailed the character creator was. There were some hairstyles which are locked out, and
I mean, wow, that's not bad for a character creator. It's more than I'd see in most MMOs these days. I mean, sure, they're all butterfaces, but those were a pair of bangable tits on that chick. At least, kinda. I mean, look, if fridge body is your thing, this is the game to play. Face-wise, I'd say this is about the same as Elder Scrolls Online, which is not too bad.
I assumed that they were available in the cash shop, but to my surprise, you have to unlock them in-game. Obviously, you have to use the in-game currency to unlock them.
Oh my god, that's genius. That's genius. Oh, fuck, character choices that are locked behind a paywall. That's top-tier thinking. Background music is called Resurrections by Lana Rain for the game Celeste. Good choice. Celeste's a good game. Worth playing.
Which is technically real-life money, so technically it is kind of a cash shop. This is
beautiful. That is a cash shop. Not technically, that is a cash shop. Just because you put one barrier between what's money and what's not, that's a cash shop. Gotta bounce, I'll rewatch Yvonne. Alright, Nuzzles, thanks for stopping by. I need to say this again. I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. If you have anything you need to do, right, don't feel bad for just fucking upping and leaving, right? Just go do your shit. I promise you, anything I'm ever doing on stream is not nearly as important as your life. Yeah, I don't care what you have to do. If you have to go stare at the sun, if you have to go take a dump on your neighbor's wife, if you need to go down the road just to find a baby to kick, you go do it. You live your life. I promise you it's more important than anything I'm doing. Also, you know, VOD's over on YouTube and it's saved there. You can always go watch it later.
Gonna get confusing. Despite the limited hair choices, I persevered on. And I thought it was only appropriate I make a character that looked like he knew his way around a casino.
Yeah.
And I give you Plobby. He's just your average looking crypto bro who wants to sit there and talk to you about his investments.
That's accurate. That's actually accurate. I've seen this man before. In my line of work, which is directly tied to crypto and stuff, I've seen this man before. You gotta remember, I've been in crypto since like 2016. This man right here. Yeah, I've seen him multiple times.
I'm sure a lot of you thought I was going in a completely different direction.
He looks like you. Fuck you, dude. God damn it. Motherfucker. God damn, you had to burn me as hard as possible, didn't you? But you're wrong. He has hair. I don't.
To that. One button click later, and I was transported into the world
Plus, I'm way fatter.
of Entropia. This game has once again surprised me because looking at this, I wouldn't have thought it was 20 years old. I was actually taken
It's Star Citizen. Look at that.
back at how nice the graphics look. But let's not jump the gun, because as the old saying goes, you can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter. First up was a NPC who greeted me by my full name, Plobby Plobberton. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to naming stuff, I'm not the best at it. But I digress. What you're witnessing here is me going through the start of the tutorial. Sadly, there was no voice acting, so I had to read everything that was presented to me. The NPCs were
Real old school. You have to actually know how to read. That's why it doesn't have a large player base. MMO players don't know how to read.
went on to explain how I crash landed on the planet, they found me, and they basically got me back up to health. And now they're trying to help me get back on my feet, and to do so, they thought it would be best if they gave me a gun. Apparently, I had crash landed in America. What followed next was a quick lesson on the game's combat, which was a bit odd because you could tab target, but you could also freely aim. I was then informed
Wow, there's more variety in this than most modern MMOs. Holy shit.
that the targets I killed drop shrapnel, which can then be converted into ammo. Something that I never considered was that every time I shot something, that was actually...
Well, most MMO players don't know how to read. I consider myself one of the elite that I can. So what you're telling me, Super God, is that on average you don't tend to play DPS classes. That's all you're telling me.
costing me money. I was then told to head down the road to the next quest giver, where I encountered some dinosaurs. So of course, when faced with new life on a strange planet, I decided to shoot the fuckers. I'm not going to lie, this wasn't the most riveting combat.
It is a skill-based game.
It was slightly skill
That was the perfect edit to put in there.
based in the sense of I had to point and click at the dinosaur, but later on I found out I could just literally tab target, which would then lock onto the enemy and auto attack. I killed a few more dinosaurs whilst also trying to relive the glory days of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and there was one thought that just wouldn't escape me, and that was the fact that every dinosaur I killed was technically a cash prize. Bear in mind I hadn't spent any money on this game, so technically every dinosaur was profit. Not a lot of profit by any means, it was like 0.003.
Dude, I think Swole Benji is the right person to get into this game because he will find a way to break it. He will break open this game's asshole so quickly. Benji will find a way to exploit the shit out of this game and make money out of it. Like an Indian man farming Google gift cards from 60-year-old grandmothers in America. Benji is the right person to fuck this game over and destroy the economy, and I'd be so impressed if he did it.
3 cents, but it was still profit. The tutorial then took me to an NPC called Rusty, who freely gave me a vehicle. No strings attached, just here you go, have a car. Does anyone else get the Halo Warthog theme stuck in the head when they go to drive a car in a game, or is it just me?
Yeah.
Ah, finally some.
Yeah, that gives off Halo vibes right there.
Freedom to explore, and in that exploration, I found out you can't run over mobs. You just go straight.
Well, yeah, mobs are money. You can't just run over mobs because that would mean that they're giving you money for free. So they got to take that system out of the game. So you either clip through them or you miss them entirely. Because why the fuck should you get money for free? They need you to spend more money into the game than you get out of it. This is a slot machine at a casino just with extra steps. That's all they're doing. They're making sure that you're spending more money. They need to do that. So I need to just alter the angle of that monitor so it stops showing up.
Straight through them. Kind of disappointing. I made my way over to the objective and then probably had one of the most brain dead moments in my life, which was I couldn't get out of the car.
Yeah.
I then sat there for the next 5 minutes pushing literally every button on my keyboard and I was still stuck in this fucking car. I think this is part of the problem of this game, which is the tutorial.
You see, here's his first mistake. He should have paid money. He should have spent money in the cash shop to unlock the get out of the car button. Because he didn't do that, he's not going to get out the car. Had my first real experience with slot machines this weekend, fucking soul destroying. I've got stories, Super God, about my family and gambling and slot machines in particular and how bad that shit can get. Man, I know how destructive it can get because it nearly ruined my whole family multiple times.
As much as it's there, it is so wordy and lengthy that you kind of just skip past it.
Yeah.
One eternity later.
Whilst I sat there still trying to figure out the controls,
This is exactly what YouTube is for. So when you're stuck in the fucking car, there's some guy from a third world country who's made a 5-second video telling you what button you gotta press to get out the goddamn car. This is exactly why YouTube exists.
something unexpected happened.
Hello there.
Another player suddenly appeared. So I did the one thing I know I'm good at. I begged them for help. But I had to be quick because they were starting to walk away.
I'm in my mum's car. Broom, broom.
I wasn't sure what the range was for local chat, so in a panic, I decided to follow them in my car. Remember kids, this is a video game. If someone ignores you in real life, don't stalk them in your car. Don't ride along.
Absolutely don't stalk them in your car. That leaves evidence behind. What you want to do is you want to be on foot with a hoodie. And you want to make sure it's nighttime. That way, they don't know who you are. And if you can rush them fast enough, they'll never get an accurate description of you. Bonus points if you wear face paint. That way they get the wrong race.
Alongside them and don't flash your lights at them. It can be seen as quite threatening and menacing. However, in this situation, it worked as they gave me the answer I was looking for and I was actually able to get out my car. Thank you for your help. With this newfound wisdom, I was finally able to complete my quest. I was now on the last mission, which would take me out of the tutorial zone and into the big wide world where surely I'll be able to make some mega bucks. And admittedly, I was excited by the prospect. So with a skip in my...
You're not gonna make shit. You're not gonna make any goddamn money in this game. You've got to put in like $100,000 and then maybe you can extract $10 out of it. But you're not making shit from this. If you're at the bottom of the pile, just like in real life, you're not making shit. You're just giving other people shit. That's how this works.
My step, I made my way over to Lieutenant Smith, who offered to take me to the mainland, which I gladly accepted. So there I was, on planet Calypso, the main planet of Entropia Universe. In official documentation, it had been stated that planet Calypso's economy was worth $400 million.
God damn.
And I was interested to see how exactly was this possible. When playing...
That's genius, is, you know what, an economy is never stable. An economy is never a number. So what you do when you're advertising your game is you make it the biggest number possible, even if it's fake, to pretend that it works.
A MMO for the first time, I tend to stick to the main story questline until I get bored, and then I just go on an adventure. But lately, there is one extra step I've been adding, which is seeing if you can swim at the first possible opportunity.
Game's already better than New World. You can swim. You can fucking swim. I read somewhere he didn't want to monetize it with ads on mobile. Based Vampire Survivors dev. I hope the Angels of Valhalla, I hope the oh God, what are they called? I hope the Valkyries descend from heaven upon this man just to suck his dick for 3 weeks non-stop just for making that choice. What a god. Based. Fuck ads, even on mobile.
And what a shocking surprise. A MMO from 20 years ago allows you to swim. Once again, proof as to how bad New World actually is.
Remember when I said that every single MMO player is just the same balding white guy with a beard? One day when Sawman does a face reveal, I have no doubt he's a balding white guy with a beard. We're all on the same goddamn wavelength, every single one of us.
The starting area had a few quests to select from. They had your basic kill quest, fetch quest, and some random quests which were reinforcing what you was already shown within the basic tutorial. All the while, at the top of my HUD, I was getting hammered with notifications of other players earning significant amounts of PED. Which, by the way, I couldn't find an option to turn these notifications off. They were just constantly there.
Yeah, because you need to remember that all of that's tied to money. They need to remind you that it's tied to PED. Of course, you're not going to be able to turn that off. But the movie industry is going to shit. Gaming industry is going to shit. Look, okay, I don't actually think the gaming industry is going to shit. I think it's just that the people with the most amount of money, which are these gigantic monolithic companies, are making the biggest piles of shit. If you go find some independent dev, he makes a goddamn banger.
And I have to admit, I think the subliminal messaging eventually worked.
Fuck it.
Yep.
Fuck it.
There we go. It's the money.
So for all the wrong reasons, I abandoned the starting area questing, and I went off into the big open world to find an adventure, and mainly money. Which, as you can imagine, was probably not going to end too well. The fuck was that? Fuck. Alright, that's fine. That's fine.
Oh, you fucked up,
Go,
dude.
get away from me! Get away from me!
You fucked up.
Cough, you stupid chicken.
Ah.
Go the fuck away. Leave me alone. Can I get down
And vehicle into the water. Now you need to buy a new one.
here? Oh, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Just keep swimming. Come on, just keep swimming.
Oh, you're
Cough,
fucked.
Mr. Chicken. Just keep swimming. Come
you're
on,
fucked.
you got this.
over.
I'm fucked. I'm fucked. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Oh wow, they drowned.
So as it turns out, the only thing more pathetic than me were these chicken creature things. But at least we finally know the answer to the question, if a synchronized swimmer drowns, do they all drown?
Yes.
A few lessons were learnt here. Number one, it seems like there is lag on the server. And that might be because there's only one server to choose from, and it's in the Netherlands. Lesson number
Isn't that fantastic? That they put up just one server and they managed to manipulate all these people onto this one fucking server. Low entry cost, high return on profit. It's brilliant.
two is that each area seems to be level locked, so by going to the bigger, badder zone, I was just going to inevitably get killed. So I'd have to be careful as to how I approach enemies. And lesson number 3, my car can take damage, which is probably something I should keep an eye on, because I'm sure this will end well. Anyway, Journey of Discovery Part 2 was now underway.
Hey, your vehicle's smoking like it's in GTA. That shit's gonna fall apart.
It had been over an hour, and so far I had made 0 friends, 0 money, and almost blew up my car.
Oh, it's just like real life.
I had run into other players in the starting area, but none of them seemed too chatty. So I figured if I head far enough out, maybe I'll run into like a social player hub, and they could help me get set up and start making some mega bucks.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Well, that was the plan anyway.
Think about it. If this is a video game where you're able to make real world money, that immediately puts every single other player against you, because any money you are making in the game is not money they are making in the game. So now that it's tied to real world profit, anyone who's got a secret to making profit is going to be immediately against you.
But the first settlement I came across appeared to be some sort of ghost town. One of the biggest sources of income for Entropia Universe is their housing system. They had made millions over the years by selling virtual real estate, as they call it. In 2005...
It's beautiful. Imagine all you have to do is program out the shittiest digital piece of land and people will give you real world money for it. An infinite resource that you can make people feel FOMO over it. These devs are fucking geniuses. This is like horseshoe theory. I've gone from being mad at these guys to just purely impressed by how goblin-esque, like World of Warcraft goblin-esque fucking money-grubbing pieces of shit these people are. It's amazing.
A player mortgaged his home to purchase a virtual property in Entropia Universe for $100,000.
So he lost his real home for a digital one. This is goddamn. If I'd studied this, I would have known exactly which way the NFT market was going and been able to make way more money than I actually did off of it.
He later...
And by the way, I'm the guy who did make a decent chunk of money off of the NFT market, by the way. Because I knew enough to do this. I actually got away with this. Just to give you some perspective.
Sold that same property called Club Never Die for roughly $635,000.
Jeez.
So it's an odd feeling driving around this town knowing that some of these houses might actually be worth as much as a real life house. But as I said, it was a ghost town, so I didn't stay for long and I went to the next village over in hope of finding some civilization.
Not gonna find it.
I always find it strange that you could be in the middle of nowhere on an MMO and yet you'll still randomly encounter another player. As I got closer, I knew I had a choice to make. I could drive past and leave this person to potentially die, or I could jump out my car and try and give them a hand. And being the hero...
Yeah, he doesn't look need like he looks... God, I'm having a fucking stroke. And just thinking about how much money these people are making. That guy doesn't need help.
Hero that I am, I went for option B. And of course, with the enemy being under half health, I figured maybe if I got some
Is it shared loot?
little love taps on it, I could earn some much needed PED.
Probably not.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Beautiful. Impressive.
So yeah, I died, and the other guy just went on his merry way and didn't think twice about what just happened. So that felt good. But it's okay, I didn't really lose anything by dying. You just lose durability on your items, which obviously costs money to repair. But
real world money, keep in mind.
I could deal with that. With my ego just about still intact, I decided to head out again and see if I could find that same player and maybe see if they could help me farm these animals. I figured it would be a good, easy way to level up and maybe learn a bit more about the game. Now, just a splash of information I need to tell you guys, this game has a auto run toggle, which you can also use whilst driving a vehicle.
Oh, nice.
And it just so happened I had this feature switched on, and I might have got slightly distracted whilst going through the complexity of the
He had Pornhub open on the second monitor and he forgot he was playing the game. Common thing. Happens to all of us.
skill tree, which may or may not have been the reason as to why I crashed my car. It wasn't till I respawned that the severity of the situation really kicked in.
Oh no, I know what's happening to him. Also, thanks for the sub, Intrude. So, what's just happened to him is he's now going to get stuck in the fucked up durability loop where his durability is too low for him to do anything. That's my prediction. And he's going to need to spend real world money, so pay money into the game to fix his durability. And I'm sure that this is a system they designed on purpose to force people to pay money into the game.
So what you have to understand about the situation I'd gotten myself into is that I'd driven into a high level area, and with my car suddenly exploding and me having no money to repair it or any tools to repair it, I was pretty much stranded. Now obviously I have a gun, a map and 2 legs, so I could always just walk back, right? A reasonable
It's gonna take him forever.
expectation, but unfortunately this game is a bit more hardcore than that.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Now, sadly,
Yeah, he's gonna get the shit beaten out of him over and over again until what? Until he goes into the cash shop and gives them money.
I was surrounded by enemies. The nearest settlement over was quite far away, and every time I died, I'd respawn at the nearest outpost.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that's genius. You take the new players and you respawn them at outposts where it's surrounded by enemies that are going to kill them. That way they're forced into the situation where every time they leave the outpost they die again and they revive, and so they need to spend their money with you to get a car to be able to be fast enough to run away, or to afford some weapon or some shit in order to deal with that. Oh, that's brilliant.
Which happened to be this place, which was in the middle of buttfuck nowhere and had no way for me to fast travel. This meant I had to do the scariest thing that you could
And they took away fast travel. Cherry on top.
possibly do in a MMO, and that was of course speak to another player.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Obviously it's not that deep, it wasn't a problem to speak up in area chat. I love being social in these sort of MMOs because you learn a lot about the game by doing so. It didn't actually take long for someone to private message me and offer some advice and guidance.
Wait, hold on. Teleporters are free to use, just like your asshole. I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. Are they easy to find? Type /pause. Without the brackets, I can come and get you on my way. No, thank you. Wait, oh, thank
And
you.
before I
Oh,
knew it,
goddamn.
No had offered to come pick me up and take me away from this hellhole. And just by their outfit, I could tell
Hey,
they'd
there
played
we
this
go.
game a lot more than me.
God
Look at
damn.
this distinguished gentleman.
What happened next was
That is probably a hairy-ass dude who just sits at his PC all day and makes bank. This is probably one of those people that makes a lot of money off of this game. You don't have tits that big and be a dude playing a character like that not making money.
a series of unexpected acts of kindness. first, they gifted me a ship and a bunch of fuel. Bear in mind, everything in this game has a real money value, and this was worth 10 PEDs, which is about $1, but I mean, come on. When is the last time a random
Wow. This means that begging is a viable option in this game.
stranger came up to you and gave you $1? I bet it wasn't recent. They then decided to...
I mean, it's been pretty recent. You guys gave me enough dollars for me to buy a wheelchair, so... speak for yourself.
help me out by taking me on a quick tour of the area and show me some places I probably should go visit before I do anything else. This included taking me to a spot where I can get my car repaired, which best of all was done for free.
Oh, nice.
And most
So
importantly,
they do have ways to keep you coming back into the game instead of being the guy who has a bounce rate where you're like, fuck you, I'm never coming back.
they gave me a lesson on how to use a teleporter, which would come in handy later on. Up next, we went to Port Atlantis, where I was advised that a lot of people take their vehicles here to get free repairs. And you might be wondering, why would anyone do anything for free in this game? And it's simply because it's rewarding to do so. When they do these repairs, they will level up their repair skill. At Port Atlantis...
Oh, so they're feeding you into their gaming mechanics. That's brilliant. Every person acts too horny or quirky while playing female characters is instantly a man to me. That's fair, Shura. You know what? I had a friend back in the day. We figured this out when we were playing Ion. That we could, if we just acted like women playing video games, and we made some of the hottest fucking characters possible, we could get people to give us free shit. And it worked. It worked for like a solid month. We had the most geared out female characters, and all we had to do was act like we were shy. And it worked. Man, it's like, you know that strategy in nature where like certain fish pretend to be like women and then they get close to the male fish's other woman and then fuck it? That's exactly what we were doing. And it worked.
We visited the mall, as you Americans say, which consists of player-owned shops, which are not cheap to own, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Me and No then went and done a gauntlet, which is...
Wait, hold on. He said 10 PED is $1. So then 2,000 is... what, $200? About?
Like a daily dungeon, I believe, which promised a decent reward. Well, for me anyway. I think
okay, maybe I'm wrong. This game doesn't seem as predatory as Star Citizen. This is like proto Star Citizen.
It's safe to say that if I was on my own, I'd have no chance in hell of completing this.
Oh yeah, of course not.
But No here took the time to show me the ropes and even provided me with some support by healing me, because I was too stupid to heal myself. We took on the last boss, and would you believe it, we killed it. Go team.
Nice.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes!
It's not every day.
You don't understand it now, so man. You're this man's bitch. You're this man's bitch. This man with the fat titties in game, he's coming to collect. And he's going to collect those cheeks real fast and be like, hey, remember I repaired your vehicle? Something else is going to need repairing after I'm done with you, boy. That's what's happening.
That you have an absolute legend like No come along and teach you the game for no other reason than just to be helpful. The fact that they
and he's going to help himself to you, asshole. He's coming. Don't you worry. He knows where you live.
Show me some quest givers as well that would be useful for me for leveling up. And they gave me free items. Was just, yeah, it was beyond generous. So a big shout out to No, because honestly, without their help, I'm not too sure how far into this game I would have got. But anyway, it was time to part ways.
So average single player experience, the best way to do this is to beg like a bitch. It's to be someone else's bitch. It's like going to prison. You're either getting fucked by one guy or every guy. So pick your team and go from there.
And I still had a lot more Entropia to explore. The joys of playing a sandbox game is that you can play however you want. So for the most part, I was travelling around, doing quests, and just every now and then doing a little grinding, just to see if I could farm some material or get a lucky drop. With the game being over 20 years old, it's safe to say there's a lot to see and do, and there's no way I could cover it off in my short amount of playtime compared to the lifespan of the actual game.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking at this game for a week, of course you're not going to be able to see everything. They've got to sell you everything. And if this game is old, and it's like older than 20 years, it's going to have a bunch of stuff in it. It's going to be a bunch of dev shit in there. Of course it's going to have that much. If it's still alive somehow after 20 years on its original servers, yeah, there's going to be a ton of shit you could spend money on.
However, what sort of reviewer would I be if I didn't create a pros and cons list? I'm actually going to change it around and start off with the negatives. Now, one thing I soon realised is that a lot of the quests that I was doing, they were pretty useless. Like, they would level me up in a particular skill which I have no interest in, but I wouldn't get any decent rewards from them. And this happened quite a few times to my frustration.
Well, yeah, they can't just give you money for free.
Which is a shame because although there is no voice acting, the dialogue around the quests themselves wasn't that bad. In fact, there was a bit of quirkiness to some of the quests. For instance, the one I was doing now, called Pub Crawl, had me go bar to bar in different cities trying to get a beer. But the catch was all the bars had run out of beer. So eventually I'd gone to all of them asking for a beer, travelling around the map, and then...
This guy's just living the average UK experience. I don't know why he's doing this. He could have just gone outside.
And I got home and it was like, yeah, we don't have beer. Sorry for wasting your time. Here, let's level up a skill slightly. I mean, maybe it's just because it's early game and they don't want to give you the money, or maybe it's because they're not stupid and they're not going to give you money for questing.
Of course they're not.
I honestly don't know what the answer is. I'd like a vet player to tell me if it's just my imagination or whether it is designed this way.
You don't give people money for free, especially not in the early game. You don't give them because that's going to rip your economy apart. Probably because people will just keep on continually making new players and new accounts, farm the beginner quests that are the easiest, stack up as much cash as possible, and then cash out. That's why.
Next on the list is the combat. It felt very shallow and like there could have been more to it. With the game being as old as it is, the developers obviously opted for tab targeting, but it's quite literally a case of you tab onto the target and you right click on your mouse and it pretty much does all the work for you. Dodges are automatic and are based off your stats, and to be honest, when it comes to actually repositioning your player, it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. I think the worst thing for me...
I mean, yeah, it's 20 years old, and it's not about the combat. This game is not about the gameplay. It's about creating a money cycle.
It's that you do have the ability to use free look and shoot enemies, but by doing so, you're making combat harder for yourself. Also, when switching weapons or switching to one of the healing orb things I have, it was really slow and unresponsive. Obviously, I can't comment on the end game combat, but from a new player experience, it felt really slow.
It sucks dick. That's the short way of saying it.
And clunky, and to be perfectly blunt, like you only had one ability to spam. Something else that really annoyed me about this game is just how slow it is to go and explore the world. The amount of times my car, buggy, whatever you want to call it, would get stuck going up a hill, it felt worse than Skyrim. Oh hi, Sawman here, and I'm 1,000 feet up in the air on my horse in Skyrim. But not only that, the fact that I had a spaceship, and even then, it was so slow to get from point A to B, it really did feel more of a chore to go travelling as opposed to an actual adventure. I have played some complex MMOs in the past and they've had better tutorials than this. This game really does...
Old MMOs actually had the best tutorials, if you think about it, because the game became intuitive after about an hour of playing it. Modern MMOs have this problem where they just presuppose that you know how to play an MMO, and that's why they have such difficulty getting new people to play MMOs who've never played them before, is because they presuppose that it's the same market still playing them, and therefore they'll never take anyone new and make them play the game, and they won't give a fuck about it.
Throw you in the deep end, and if you enjoy googling everything and anything because you can't figure stuff out, then this certainly is the game for you. And the server lag, I honestly don't know where it comes from. I have good internet, I have a good PC, And I usually am...
It's not you, it's the server. It'll be the server. If they've got one server and that server is 20 years old, that's some ancient piece of tech that has been grandfathered into a system. It's not going to be you. It'll be a server-side issue, especially if there's one server.
I'm able to play on North American servers. But the amount of stutters and rubber banding I had honestly makes me question where in the world this server even is based. Now, there is a lot of stuff missing off this list, but in terms of first impressions and amount of game time I had, these are the standout issues I had with the game itself as a MMO. In regards to the monetization, shall we call it, I'm going to have a separate section for that because there's a deep rabbit hole that we need to dive into. But before we do that, there are some...
Is this whole part of it? Yeah, this whole part of this video is dedicated to the money. Server is just a Windows XP machine stuck in some closet. It probably is, Ashura. It's probably running on like a Pentium 4 somewhere. That they just forgot exists. No one's opened that cupboard. There's like a dead person hanging in the closet that someone murdered, and just below, like below the person's corpse, who's like covered over the fans, heating that Pentium 4. That's the server. mabinogi actually recently revamped their new player experience, and ironically, they even introduced the blinded book system as part of the help. Blah blah blah. Get gold. They need to redo the map. That'll probably just get redone. They finally upgrade. Well, that's good. They should keep
pros
updating
I want to talk about.
All games should do that.
Despite its age, there is a lot of innovation in a roundabout way. One thing I really loved to see were how other players had customized their characters.
But they did it for real world money.
Their outfits were certainly outfits to be seen. But what I actually liked about this was that in a roundabout way, these outfits were all earned by playing the game. They're all in-game rewards.
Oh, nice.
People will look at your outfit.
Oh shit, look at that, I'm wrong.
And they'll know how much hard work and effort you put in to look the way that you do. None of this bullshit you just bought it off the cash shop. Oh no. You went and you farmed your heart out to look like whatever this thing is. Either way,
that's just gay Joe Rogan.
It gives me a real Second Life vibe. It adds to the social aspects of this game. The depth and width of the skill system was also very impressive. They were done in such a way that you couldn't level up everything. You had certain ones that you'd focus on, and in a way it pushed you towards a certain profession. I thought
that kind of makes me think of Star Wars Galaxies a little bit.
The graphics were really good too. I know they have been upgraded over the year, and they're now sat on CryEngine, I believe, and there's even talks of pushing it to UE5. Whether that actually comes to fruition or not is a different story, but yeah, I was impressed. 20 years old, and let's be honest, it looks a lot better than RuneScape. And one of the best features about the game is the social aspect. What I'm talking about is just how willing some players were to help you out, talk to you, and just generally give advice when, do you know what, they didn't have to. I thought there'd be a real icy vibe from the community, given the fact that you're all trying to earn money essentially. But no, everyone seems very friendly, which was a surprise.
Now you see, that's a surprise to me, because I think if there's real world money, people would be out it for themselves, and they'd do their best to screw over every other player. That's surprising that there's people actually helping others out. Aside from that guy who's going to show up in Sawman's bedroom demanding that as compensation for his assistance, he needs a taste of that asshole.
Surprise, but a pleasant one at that. And I know I talked about how pricey player housing was, but if we took the price tag away and the fact that they had this system 20 plus years ago, where you could decorate your own house and fill it with in-game rewards, it is very innovative and it's a good system to have.
I mean, for a game that's 20 years old, that's not bad that you have a player housing system that lets you stack stuff like that. That's awesome.
And my last positive is just how batshit crazy the game is. Like, the world...
Hello. God damn. That's not a face you want to see. That's some plastic surgery shit going on there.
Records that has held. The community who have played it since day one. And I hadn't even touched upon the fact that there are different planets that you can visit, with one of them being themed around rock and roll. Honestly, whatever they're smoking over there at MindArk.
Typical female armor, based, very good. Top tier, I bet that's like impervious to all arrows. Brilliant stuff. Need more of that in modern video games.
Send it my way. So yeah, overall, as an MMO, it has some very redeemable qualities about itself. It's by no means an unplayable, horrible mess, and the fact that the community is still there and somewhat thriving just goes to show there is an enjoyable game to be played. But look, there's no point tiptoeing around it anymore, so let's just address the elephant in the room. Or the several elephants in the room.
Ooh.
I mean, it might as well be a whole
my.
fucking zoo in this room.
Oh, here we go. The good parts. Finally.
So there is a lot of things in Entropia that I consider very questionable and somewhat shady, if not a grey area. For starters, let's start with something light. In the UI, there is a pop-up at the top which will tell you when players earn PED. The pop-up in itself isn't offensive, it's the fact that you can't turn this off. It is constantly there telling you when players are winning big. Now, obviously,
Yes,
this is a...
Of course, they need to... This is like how casinos do that thing where they have to... When you win a jackpot, it's not a quiet thing. The machine goes fucking ballistic because everyone around you needs to, like, hear the sound of the machine making... Like, letting you win. That way, they think, damn, it's my turn next. That's how they keep you going.
Psychological tactic to get you to also want to win big and
Yes.
potentially have to
There it
deposit
is.
money in order to do so. I just want to point
Just like a slot machine.
out other MMOs do have a similar practice where if they win big in a loot crate, it will pop up as a notification
Yep.
for everyone to see. But
Yep, there it is.
you can turn these off for the most part. So that's the first bit of shade. The second bit of shade is the fact that when you go to withdraw your money, there's a slight caveat involved. For starters, there's a handling.
Listen, Jimmy, don't talk shit on Alibaba. Don't talk shit on Alibaba. If you order anything off of Alibaba, at least 30% of the time you get what you ordered. Okay? At least 1/3 of the time, the box arrives at your door. Okay? So no, this is closer to Temu, I would say. It's newer, it's younger, it's sexier, and it's about to fuck you and you don't even know it. The slot machines things where you're getting close to a big win, you get a rising volume that you can't alter. And every now and then, the volume you set just gets reset to max volume. Yeah, there you go.
Fee, which means you won't get the full amount that you're trying to withdraw. Secondly, you might get charged a bank fee because it is an international bank. They are sending it from Sweden,
Yeah.
I do believe.
There you go. International transactions. Oh, get fucked by those bank fees, buddy boy.
And thirdly, it can take up to 50 days.
God damn.
Oh, and I forgot one.
Fuck. Wait 2 months to be able to spend the money you put in the game. Holy shit. Man, we've evolved from here. Does Alibaba sell hungry MILFs? Yes, but they're cannibals, and they may or may not have a dick. So I mean, you can risk that order, but 2 out of 3 times it's gonna be a hairy dude in lingerie who's about to eat your fucking face.
One more. You have to withdraw a minimum of $100.
Ooh.
Why? Like, what? Why is this legal? And I think
It's probably something to do with international transactions and then batching transactions that are back to players. That way they can get a cheaper return on it and pay less in fees.
one of the biggest bits of shadiness about this whole title is the fact that they never even label it as gambling.
We have followed all of the rules and regulations to show, which we have done.
Is that not a face you would trust? Tell me right now that you would not take this man's face and trust him with your mother. Would you put this man in a room with your mother? And when you come back, you're like, did you rape my mom? He's like, I followed all the rules and regulations. He says some shit like that. God damn, what an untrustworthy face this is. Yeah, you can tell this look on his face is like it's like near deer in headlights. Like he's practiced this shit in the mirror. You know how someone like let's say they accidentally kill a homeless person or a pedestrian, and they haven't been caught or they haven't been found out, but they've rehearsed like a speech in their head, and they've had this conversation with themselves like hundreds of times where they were like, oh, it's a homeless person, they were contributing nothing to society, like I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't see him coming, and they've got this like built up pre-recorded message in their head. That's what I'm hearing here.
That it is a skill-based game.
And you might think, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is, when it is considered gambling, there's also a lot of rules and regulations you have to follow. For instance...
And he's doing his best to make sure he doesn't have to follow them.
In the UK, you have to be 18 to gamble. And yet, for almost 20 years, Entropia Universe, they didn't really care about your age. And that's because it's not gambling, remember?
We've changed the minimum age of Entropia Universe now. It's 18 years old.
Yeah, so that means there's a pop-up message that says, are you 18, yes or no? And then you click the button.
How long?
I would trust him to do my prostate exam with both hands on my shoulders. God damn. Look, you didn't have to tell us that you were sexually attracted to the man who looks like a suitcase, okay? But thank you. Now I have to live with that information.
Was Entropia operating with the minimum age of players not being 18?
We changed that last year.
Wow.
They only changed it last year. That's brilliant.
Oh, so 2003 to 2019.
You also need to have a...
So for the large majority of this game's existence, they allowed kids to play it. What did I say in the beginning of this video when I said you get them young while they're impressionable, and then you can fuck up their psychological like balances so they'll do whatever the fuck you want because you've now screwed them over for life? There you go. And he's out, by the way. Remember, he retired in 2023. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. He made his money. That guy's gone. Homeless people contribute more to society than politicians and rich bastards who think they can dictate what other people are allowed to do, say, or think. Maybe. Depends how much shit the homeless person throws.
A gambling license in the UK if you're...
And who they're throwing it at on the train.
...to host any sort of gambling. And this is to make sure the games are fair and crime-free. In the UK, gambling businesses will need to provide customers with options to opt out so they don't get spammed with products. You know, maybe like a pop-up box which constantly goes on your screen to tell you that someone won PED. And there's also regulations about vulnerable players. For instance, allowing a player to lose over £70,000 in 10 hours is something that shouldn't happen.
So you make sure that they can only lose $69,999 or pounds. You put it $1 under the limit.
There should be blockers and locks to stop players going over a certain threshold. So the real shadiness for me is the fact that they want to avoid saying that the game is actually some form of gambling. And I can only assume the reason they don't want to call it gambling is because they don't want to lose a chunk of vulnerable players who are potentially putting way too much money in that they can't afford.
Of course.
Well, that's what it looks like from the outside in. Maybe they have a better reason. Despite all the shadiness though,
if they had a better reason, you would know what that better reason is. They don't have a better reason.
I do actually have a controversial...
Actually, if they had a better reason, they would be parading that better reason around like it was fucking Jesus returned to Earth. They would be parading that shit around everywhere to make sure you knew it.
...take about this game, which I'm sure no one will expect, but here it goes. I don't think it's as predatory as some other mainstream MMOs. Now,
I agree with what he said, but I think the difference is because of the age of the game. I think it's just this is like the proto version of the manipulative shit that we see now. I think it's purely because they hadn't figured all of this out, and this is a 20-year-old game. If this game was released tomorrow, it would be a completely different story. But modern video games, way more efficient at fucking you over.
Now hear me out. In theory, you can play this game for free, earn in-game money without ever purchasing anything, which you can then re-roll to buy in-game rewards. Whereas modern MMOs such as The Elder Scrolls Online,
ESO, he's going straight for ESO,
Black Desert Online, or even World of Warcraft, you have to actually part money to get additional items in-game.
Yes.
I know you pointed out that housing in this title is very expensive. I mean, hell, they have a few world records. But guess what? In the Elder Scrolls Online, they have several houses you can only earn from buying them from the in-game cash shop. And
you see, they hadn't figured this out yet. This game's 20 years old. They didn't figure this out yet. ESO figured this out. ZeniMax knew exactly what they were doing. They took this formula and they made it more efficient and more optimal for getting rid of all of the money in your bank account, not just some of the money.
And would you believe it, they don't go cheap.
Top tier.
It's the same with mounts and outfits, and obviously they have loot crates. Even games as old as Neverwinter and Star Trek Online have loot crates. So yes, I would say that Entropia Universe is more of an online casino gambling title, but at the same time, you could...
It's not the worst, there's always worse.
Say that about a lot of MMOs out there on the market. All of them tend to have some sort of gambling involved, and it all costs money. I think there's a difference between risk versus reward and gambling, mainly whether you have to use your wallet or not. So I'm not against elements of gambling being in games, I'm just against having to use my credit card in order to win. I think as we evolve as a player base, we look for more innovation.
I'm against all of it. Because in some mechanism, one way or another, you're winning. You're either getting something that someone can't get, you are winning back your time from the video game, or your character looks fucking awesome, not because you did something, but because you spent enough money in the cash shop that you get to look awesome, which removes all mechanisms of visual progression in a game. One of the things you do in a video game is you play the game to look awesome. That's one of the main reasons to play a video game. You see that guy coming through Stormwind with the Warglaives of Azeroth. You're playing fucking, I don't know, you see someone on Invincible. If you can just buy that in a cash shop, it doesn't matter. The guy who worked hard to get that thing, you don't give a fuck about him. You're just like, oh, you probably just paid for it, you piece of shit. Even if he didn't. It removes all aspects of visual progression, and visual progression is a legitimate form of winning in a video game. Since we're nearing the end, here's the video I was talking about. Okay, I'll take a look at it now.
When it comes to gaming, be it the way we play or the things that we can earn in game. I don't necessarily think Entropia Universe is too controversial compared to some of the other MMOs out there, but I do think it was ahead of the curve when it comes to digital currency.
Yep.
Technically, most MMOs you could sell gold to other people for real life money. You can even sell accounts. It's just that Entropia Universe has more official methods as to how to do it, and they take a cut of the price. I think as well, with the rise of NFTs and crypto, there's going to be a lot worse MMOs out there than...
Absolutely. Absolutely. Entropia Universe is the fucking amoeba. It's the amoeba. It's the proto-evolution stage. It's spore stage 1 of what's coming. We're not even in space yet. We're still in the tribal stage. It's gonna get so much worse. You don't even know. Oh my God, it's gonna get so much worse before someone comes along and makes it better. We need to go through hell before anything gets better.
Entropia Universe when it comes to trying to take your money. I think if Entropia Universe came out and said, yes, the game involves gambling, and then proceeded to follow the rules and regulations set out by each country, then no one would actually care. However, when you skirt just on the line, trying to use loopholes and avoid using specific labels just so you can avoid being regulated and maybe having to pay an extra fee, then I
Entropia Universe fucked so that modern game devs could rape. That's how this worked.
think you invite controversy and open yourself up to criticism. So would I recommend that you play Entropia Universe? I mean, it has a great community. I like the concept. It's very customizable. But you have to understand, when playing this game, its sole purpose is to get you to spend money.
Yes.
And if you're not aware of that whilst playing, then you might get hoodwinked. And on that bombshell, I'm going to end the video there. If you want to see me play more MMOs like this, by all means, comment and suggest some below. Entropia Universe was actually suggested to me from a member of my Discord, so shout out to how to make lettuce. They also have a YouTube channel which is dedicated to helping new players of Entropia, so check that out if you're interested. As always, thanks for watching, leave a like to help the algorithm, and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. I'll leave a couple of videos on the screen for you now which you might enjoy, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.
Fantastic.
Bye-bye for now.
Amazing. This is why this guy is starting to succeed. Because he makes great fucking videos like that on shit that I didn't even know I wanted to watch. This is why Sawman's taking off.